Ask the Mayor. Your chance to ask the Mayor of Weymouth, Bob Hedlund, questions about the town of Weymouth and or anything else that you have concerns about. Ask the Mayor is pre-recorded. And now, here's Bob Hedlund.
Welcome back to another edition of Ask the Mayor. As always, we're broadcasting live from Mayor Robert Hedlund's office at the Town Hall in Weymouth, Massachusetts. I'm joined, as I always am, with our mayor, Robert Hedlund. How are you today, Bob?
I'm good, Jim.
Outstanding.
Legs getting better.
Oh,
on the
great
mend.
to hear.
Nice tie, by the way.
Appreciate you saying
I love
so.
that thing about being live.
Yeah.
It's live. It's live now, but not when you see it.
Live from Weymouth. Well, listen, we're together, and I think that's the most important thing. You and I and our viewers. Very grateful, of course, for everybody tuning in and supporting
Now,
us.
Jim, I know, just to get this off the table, I know that we got to focus on the questions today. Because we got some criticisms for being too wide-ranging, but
it's true.
I know our last show you had to cancel your hair appointment, and I just want to know they did a heck of a job now that you've been able to get to your appointment.
I want to say for the record, because this has come up now on a regular basis, I've paid $5 and I've paid $50 for my haircuts, and I get the same look after a week. So I'm at the barber shop, at the barber pole. I did have an appointment, if you can believe it, with the different places because I thought it was going to be more convenient. But I'm not about investing a whole heck of a lot of money into my hairdos, as probably everybody can suspect. How about yourself, Mayor? Where do you go to get your haircut? Do you have a regular spot?
Quick story. The last time I got a haircut, I drove around town. Every barber was closed.
But you go to the barber pole, guys?
There's 3 places I drove by.
Yeah.
I meant to check out a 4th place, which I'm going to go. But I'll go where there's no line.
Yeah,
I
sure.
don't, like you, I don't have the ability to make appointments. But true story, I won't out the name of the barbershop here in town, but I'm driving by, middle of the day, weekday. There's only one guy in a chair. I said, Gray, I'm going to pop in here. I need a haircut really bad. It's a guy who's cut my hair in the past. It's in the neighborhood that I used to live in. So I'm waiting. The guy in the chair getting his hair cut was from Hull. Recognizes me. We're having a conversation while his hair is getting cut. He gets done. I get in the chair. The guy from Hull hangs around, is still talking to me. The barber, who is in the middle of the conversation the whole time, who I assumed knew who I was because he's talking to me like I'm a long-lost buddy, says to me, "Oh, what do you do?" And the guy from Hull says, "Hey, so-and-so, he works for the town." And I said I work for the town, whatever. And the guy goes, the barber says, "What do you do?" And I says, "I do a lot of things for the town." And the other guy's laughing. And finally says to the barber, "Hey, so-and-so, this is your mayor." And he looked at me and he says, "Oh, yeah. You're Dave Madden." This is literally a month ago in Weymouth, a long-time Weymouth barber who I will not out, but, you know, I thought barbers were central to all that was going on.
That's
and knew everything.
That's a fact.
That was bizarre. Anyway.
You know, it would have been a better story if they said Suke. But
yeah, that may be the first time I was confused for Dave Madden.
And of course, between the two of us, Bob and I are filled with more uninteresting anecdotal stories than probably any two people in Weymouth. But just because you mentioned Hull very quickly, I got pulled over in Canada about 40 years ago. I got to tell you this. No. And the guy honeymooned in Hull. Hull was one of the most top 5 heavily visited resort destinations. Are you doing this just
to make somebody angry?
No, I'm telling you, Hull. There's a fun fact about Hull. It was
we got an email criticizing us for you telling that story.
But I get 100 handshakes, people telling us that they love these stories.
All right.
So very quickly, in 7 seconds less, Hull was, at the turn of last century, one of the top 5 most heavily visited resort vacation destination spots in the country. Hull, Massachusetts.
All right.
Back to you.
Time for questions.
Okay. Where do I begin? Bob now doesn't want even me to look at the questions before we ask them.
So here we go. Other than Canada.
Hey, I want the viewers to vote. What's more interesting, my Hull story or his haircut story?
Did you say that was your honeymoon?
No, it was not my honeymoon. Okay. Front Street Road construction.
Where was your honeymoon?
We honeymooned in Portugal, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
In the Algarve. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you for asking. Front Street recently had water main replacement from Winter Street to Homestead Ave. Will there be repaving done over the existing patches where the trenches were dug? Thank you, Tim White on Joyce Avenue.
Yes, you'll have a very nice paving job.
On to the next question. Tim, check. Okay, here we go. all the font size in this type is like a 6. Hi, I was wondering what is the date for the volunteer cleanup. We are residents of 20 years at Woronko Road and have a 2-family on Wachusett. I know all the neighbors are looking forward to helping the cleanup. This was, I think this one's a little dated. What do you think? Okay.
We try to get to all questions. We missed a couple early on. The cleanup day has happened.
Wonderful.
And as viewer of the station, you'll know, because we have a nice post-wrap. It's been resting for a week, but it's going back on. And it'll remind you to maybe join us next year. And what was the date, guys? Help me out here. Anyway, it was about a month ago.
Yeah, wonderful. Late April, I think, traditionally.
It was April 28th, around that time, I think.
Well, Phil Lofgren has been the assistant Herring Run warden for many moons, and Phil lives down there. So kudos to Fred and anyone who wants to go around and pick up trash at any time.
Let me use this opportunity.
Phil, I said Fred.
Yeah, it's a great question. Let me use the opportunity once again to thank all of the volunteers who participated in Cleanup Day. We had a lot of fun, and it culminated in a nice event at O'Sullivan Park in North Weymouth after, where we had pizza, hamburger, hot dogs, etc. It was nice.
Neighbors helping neighbors, man. That's what the community is all about. All right, Robert, with regards to infrastructure appropriations, can you explain how road repair projects are identified and prioritized within the town?
More or less.
By the way, that's Alan Wilson from Wingate Road.
We have... We're actually kind of improving on the process. We want a process where maybe at times there hasn't been a process. And part of the problem has been obviously funding, where we've been falling behind every year further and further and further. This is the first year in a long time that we are making strides in actually increasing funding to get caught up on road and sidewalk repair. For the first time, we have appropriated money in the current budget that I just put forward to the council, $500,000 to initiate some sidewalk improvements. On top of the roughly $1.2 million we get from the state, or that we'll be receiving from the state in Chapter 90 road work money, we are going to bond another $3 million, which hasn't been done in a long time. And then we get some additional funding, various sources, community development block grant money. In fact, some community development block grant money right now is being used to do such streets as Classen, Sundon, there's a few others. So I'd say those are the 4 little mix of funding sources that we're utilizing to try to get caught up. And in terms of the process, DPW is talking about doing a more thorough review, but we're working off a list now for sidewalks, which is clearly delineated. They're rated. We know where the extreme bad ones are. Then we further prioritize those that are closer to school walking routes. So those would take precedence.
Smart.
There's no way we're going to get caught up on sidewalks anytime soon. But at least now, this is the first time we're actually doing some systematic attacking of that sidewalk list. So that's how sidewalks work. We know what the demand is. It's rated, not in a numerical rating system, but a descriptive process. Poor is the worst. And then we take that from that list, obviously, as I said, the ones in proximity to school walking routes. In terms of the streets, it's kind of twofold, where we have the same kind of rating system. DPW has the extreme poor condition roads rated and listed, but then we further analyze that list, and if we have underground utility work or other work that's scheduled for that road in the immediate future, that road will not obviously be put on the paving list. Or it'll be done in conjunction, as in the case with the previous question, Front Street, the paving will be done in conjunction with drainage work that's being done there. A good example would be, we did 2 roads in conjunction with the Columbian Square parking lot repaving, so we tied in drainage work with that. And a further complication, by the way, on this question is we have an inordinate number of streets and roads in this town that are not accepted public ways. I have no idea how this kind of happened. Most communities, the process is if a developer comes in, you've got a process in place by which he constructs the road to acceptable standards. and then the town accepts that street. But we have a lot of streets, and we're precluded from utilizing Chapter 91 funding on non-accepted roadways. So that complicates that process even further.
And P.S.
So a lot of people will complain,
Yep.
and then we look and realize that the street was never accepted by the town as a public way.
I live on one of those streets, as a matter of fact, and it was defined to us. It was built. The development was built in '97, and right before we changed from the selectman system to the mayoral system, and I guess things changed as that transition. I think there was supposed to be an automatic 7-year term where it automatically got accepted, but it never did. But we enjoy all the privileges of being, Weymouth residents, with the exception of the maintenance of a landscaping island in the center.
And I've asked, in looking into this, I've learned that the town has a very complicated, cumbersome process in place to accept a private way. The town, I've instructed town solicitor and the DPW to get together, and they're working on streamlining the process. So hopefully we'll be able to fix and accept a number of roadways and get that done.
Because right now we're not really feeling officially part of Weymouth over in my neck of the woods, so any love you could offer us, we're very grateful.
There's a lot of streets, Jimmy. That's amazing how many unaccepted roadways there are in this town.
Well, it's good to hear that the progress is kind of moving forward on some levels. Let's get off the roads and into the parks. Russell Drysdale is asking, you listed 3 initiatives for Great Esker Park on your campaign website. What is the status of these initiatives? And I can list the ones that he's copy and paste off your site.
I haven't looked at my campaign website in a long time, so you might need to refresh my memory.
Here we go. As mayor, I will restore the position
Question is, will I ever look at it again?
You may not after this. As mayor, I will restore the position of park ranger. Hingham has been able to provide a park ranger for the adjacent Bear Cove Park. I will create a similar position for Great Esker Park to provide accountability, ensure trail upkeep,
you don't have to read the whole
public
thing,
safety and the gem of a natural
No, just hit me on the three categories.
Well, the other one, these are shorter than. I will work to implement a Back River Herring Run master plan, which will include finishing the trail systems, and I will work to have a plan in place to return the town incinerator site on the banks of the Back River to useful, productive, and open recreational space.
Okay. Wow, that's good stuff I wrote back then, huh? Yeah, Hingham's a model for me in terms of how they manage Bear Cove Park. They have a gentleman by the name of Scott Hamilton, who was Hingham's Citizen of the Year last year, I might add.
Does Weymouth have a Citizen of the Year, by the way? Do we offer that distinction?
That program in Hingham is done by the Hingham Journal.
Okay.
Gatehouse Media and Hingham Journal do it. They do no such similar thing in Weymouth, but some of the other civic groups does, like the Elks have a Citizen of the Year, and I think Rotary may do something. But Mr. Hamilton was hired by the town. It was a part-time position. I think it's like 16 hours a week, but he's devoted to his job. He works about 80.
Wow.
He's probably the lowest paid public servant in the country if you break it down on an hourly basis. They gave him an old pickup truck, and they gave him the title of Park Ranger. So that's the model I was kind of looking at.
Excellent.
And they've done great things over there. He does a lot of great work. So we've been working with Steve Riley. Steve's identified. We were going to go with the Hingham model, but it didn't. We're going to try something a little bit different where Steve has an existing staffer that he is going to assign the range of responsibilities in addition to some other responsibilities that he will have. I'm going to try that out first. But we will have for the first time some actual, not full-time by 40 hours a week per se, but some assigned staffing into Great Esker. And with that, he's going to do some enhanced programming there. And I don't know if we're going to get back to where we had Great Esker Day, which was a great tradition here in town. Some of the crew here may remember that, but that was always fun. And with the increased programming in Great Esker, the Recreation Department has put in some new, I forget the description, but some recreational tools in there. There's some rope thingamajigs and some climbing things and some things in a couple of spots down there.
Sounds
I forget
awesome.
what you call it. And then the hope is, too, with the presence in there, we've got some riffraff kind of camped out in there at night. It's basically there's a couple homeless / bum encampments in there. Hey, I can use the word bum. I know it's not politically correct. But the Herald has a World War II veteran guy quoted today as calling someone a bum. But we have some folks in there that camped out there probably shouldn't be, and having some increased presence in there might make it a little more family friendly. So that's happening. What were the other 2 points, real quick?
You'd work to implement a Back River Herring Run master plan,
Yeah.
which would include finishing the trail system.
Yeah, so, well, I don't need to implement it because the town has a master plan that was done a number of years ago. We are working to implement that plan. The plan's done, the study's been done, and I'm not keeping you up today, Jim, am I?
No, I find this fascinating. I'm down there all the time. It's a gem.
So,
I haven't met that bum yet.
there's more than one.
I'm looking. And when I'm down there, there's two.
So the town did a great job with a master plan for what's called the Back River Trail. In fact, we are dedicating the Kibbe property acquisition any day now when this airs, and you'll be able to have a trail system. Yeah, you will have to cross Route 3A, but you could get from Next Street by the apartment complex, which name escapes me right now. What is it? Saltwater Creek. How's that? Saltwater Creek, back through the Kibbe property to Abigail Adams. You'll have to cross 3A, get into Great Esker, and you'll have a trail system that will bring you all the way up to Iron Hill Street, where the herring run and the start of the pond is. So this is getting done incrementally. We actually have a contract going out via a grant we secured to actually do another portion of this, which is over by the old incinerator site. So that's happening. And it'd be nice when this thing is entirely completed. We're going to try to accelerate it as best we can. But it's happening piecemeal, but it is happening.
And then finally, there was, as far as the incinerator site was concerned, productive open space. Any particular specific plan for the
We've had a
incinerator
couple
site?
planning meetings on what to do about that site, and we've got a couple ideas that we haven't completely fleshed out yet. But it would be nice that the site does bring in a little revenue with cell towers on the old stack. But it would be nice to get the incinerator down. It's quite unsightly for that beautiful spot. But you will have, at least on the perimeter, you'll have that Back River walking trail, Back River Trail component completed at the incinerator site soon. So that's a step in the right direction down there. And I know that the Humane Society facility is departing.
Oh, where are they off to?
I don't know,
Okay.
but we're going to be repurposing that facility in conjunction with Norfolk County, and it may be a regional facility for the animal control officers, and there'll be some benefit to Weymouth in hosting that. So there's a couple things happening down there.
Well, I think, over the course of the last couple of shows, we've covered a lot of planning and zoning issues, despite our Mr. X's inquiry from last week.
Let's get to this one. Let's get to that one.
Which one?
The top of the pile there. Yeah, that one.
What are you planning to do in regards to halting the plans for construction of Atlantic Bridge and Access Northeast? Are you pursuing litigation? How can we as town citizens help you with your plans? Thank you. Have a lovely day. Kiki Fleur.
All right, I don't want to short shrift that one, but we're going to do an entire segment for our inaugural show on Mayor's Monthly Forum on that, which should be airing soon. We'll save a little of that, but we've touched upon that in the last show, but we are full court press. We could talk for hours what our outside counsel is doing, town solicitors doing, but we are on a number of fronts. We're fighting Spectra relative to the Chapter 91 issue with the state, trying to get the state to intervene in that effort. We're questioning whether or not in the Coastal Zone Management Act that this kind of use can occur there. And we're continuing to fight via FERC through the testimony we've submitted. Our CONCON has rejected their environmental notice of intent for their wetlands permit. So we're, again, continuing the full court press, and we're going to have an entire show on that coming up.
Well, and same train, same track.
That wasn't the one I was hoping you'd get to, because there's something in that pile I'm hoping you get to.
Well, but just for the record, Cynthia Leiden asked for, have you thought about hiring a PR firm to help fight Spectre get out of town? It's kind of an attachment.
Wow. I actually just had some discussion. We've actually got a number of questions on that came to me direct outside of the show.
Yep.
and someone who has done some interesting solo PR work on that. I have a call into. I've got a couple ideas. Maybe someone on a volunteer basis that's done some work already on this.
Oh, great.
We're going to look into that. So some pro bono work, but I'm not sure at this stage spending money on the PR side. The fight really lies with the regulatory body, and they're pretty much insulated from. FERC is pretty much insulated from public opinion. Clearly, that's been the case throughout their history. So. It would be nice, but I'm not sure. And I think we're doing a good job on PR. I think the citizens group is. I think that the town is already. But it is something we're maybe going to utilize further on a free basis.
Just because the acronyms come up on more than one occasion during the course of this conversation. FERC stands for?
The Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, which has total oversight pretty much on this process. 5 appointed, unelected bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. They're going to make this decision on whether or not this compressor station goes in this densely populated neighborhood of North Weymouth.
Jeez.
All 5 currently are Obama appointees. One has pretty strong ties to the industry. Their track record is that of being an enabler to the industry, not as a watchdog, unfortunately.
Interesting. So stay tuned, as we say in the world of TV.
So I thought you had a Judy G question in there, actually.
You know what? The only other question in this pile is that nurse still looking for a job. Can we get back to her?
Well, I noticed that was in there. Now, what is going on? What does it say?
I thought we weren't asking old questions.
No, this is new.
This was sent on April 16th.
But it's a follow-up,
okay.
I believe.
I'm sorry. As everybody can tell, it's quite voluminous.
What does it say?
Well, let's see if we can get to, if I missed the most recent submission here. According to the timeline offered here, the last one that came in was on April 16th. And once again, it was a pleasure seeing you again last night.
Okay, that's the old one. All right,
as promised, I'm forwarding you my resume.
Okay.
So I don't have anything new to offer you as far as that's concerned. Okay. I don't know if you have a recollection you want to try to connect to. Okay, very, very good. Listen, we've been dealing with a lot of weighty material, shall we say. Can we go a little lighter for the sake of this next question?
We will get criticized for getting off the weighty stuff, but go ahead.
We're thick-skinned over here on this side of the table anyway.
Wait, why are you asking me? You are the viewer's advocate. I have to remind you, you are the viewer's advocate.
I know, but you're attempting to influence my question selection. We're going to have a brawl on camera here.
Fire away.
Okay, here we go. There seem to be quite a few new watering holes opening up around town. Johnny Kono's and the Range come to mind. Have you been? Any favorite drink or menu items? And what's your preferred beverage when you're socializing? From Steve Ganley. Have you been to Johnny Kono's just yet?
No, I haven't been yet.
The old JP Grizz. John Perrette is opened and
familiar
operating.
with it. I ran into Mr. Perrette about literally a few days before his opening.
Oh, John.
Which, as mayor, by the way, I wasn't invited to, so, you know.
Well, when you say Mr. Perrette to me, we're referring to the legendary Al Perrette, who has the barbershop right beside the old
John, as in John Kono Perrette.
Yes, exactly.
But, no, I understand he's doing quite well, and he's always had a successful touch in the restaurant industry, whether it was... don't interrupt me. No, let me see what...
Mary's ready to shout out.
Whether it's Varsity Club.
That's the one I was going to say.
Whether it's Jonathan's Fish Market, whether it's Lord Jeffrey's. How am I doing so far?
Oh, ding, ding, ding. Forgot about that
Whether it's Kathmandu Cafe.
Oh, forgot about that one, too.
How am I doing?
You're doing great.
There's probably a couple more in there somewhere.
Well, between John and, of course, Joe, the former owner of the Chowder House, who owns Memphis Joe's Barbecue, they've added a lot to the tax office of the town.
Well, I haven't been in Kono's, and what was the other one?
The other one was The Range, Jimmy Bristol's restaurant down the road.
Range. But we try to keep it in Weymouth. Range is in Hingham.
Oh, it's right over the border. That's right. I'm so sorry. All right.
She asked me my favorite drink.
And do you have a preferred drink when you're socializing?
Water. To be honest with you, I'm not a wine guy or anything like that. I just like a good beer on occasion. And maybe the temperature reaches a certain degree, and the setting is right, I'll have a margarita once in a while.
No mint juleps when you've been watching the horse races over the last couple of months?
Mint juleps.
Yeah, I'm not much of a whiskey guy myself. Hey, let's get back to zoning and development then. When will the plans for the new library building project be available for citizens to view?
We're in the process now, working with a consultant. They're soliciting input from residents to see what needs the residents want addressed, what the preferences are, what services are important to them. Then that will be incorporated into a design option. We're not at that stage yet, but we're getting close. And it's very important that we do get this grant in time, January, because there is not another state round of grants for library construction until 2019. And unfortunately, I've got to spend some money, or we have to spend some money on some temporary things just to make the library functioning this summer, which is frustrating. So our library construction committee is doing a great job. Rob McLean, who's heading that up, is doing a great job. And I think we're going to have a very competitive proposal to submit to the state.
Fantastic.
And it's essential.
Is the Weymouth Public Library the home of the Town of Weymouth Archives as well?
Well, you've got the Hal Holbrook House down to a Joe Way.
Oh, no kidding.
Where many of the town's artifacts are housed, and then you have the museum downstairs at the Tufts Library. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
And one is the Historic Commission, and one is the Historic Society, I think, that maintains one, and the other maintains the other. Do you want to correct me on that? Or am I doing good?
I believe it's called Society.
I'm sorry?
The Historical Society.
Society. Correct. They manage both? Okay.
Well, we've been given our 5-minute cue as the show looks like it's concluding. So, if I may, once again, introduce
You've got
another.
time to squeeze in one more question.
Well,
go ahead.
I thought I was the inquisitor in control of the editorial content.
I want to make that guy that wrote in last week happy.
Oh, Donald Trump is now the GOP candidate for the presidential race. Do you agree that a divide exists amongst the GOP because he was chosen like the media is portraying him? Do you believe there's a conflict within the Republican Party still regarding?
I would say not as much in the rank and file grassroots, but amongst the Republican manipulating elites, people like Bill Kristol, who have foreign policy agendas that Trump is not in agreement with, who want to advance those agendas. There would be a divide there, yes. But maybe it's overblown. I don't think it's... When you consider that Trump brought more people out in Republican primaries around the country, we had a record, Republican primary vote here in Massachusetts, for instance.
Wow.
So amongst the grassroots, he's bringing people out to support him. But you have some elites that aren't comfortable with his positions on trade and foreign policy, but we can talk more about that in a future show. I know we're going to get to your wrap.
Well, as always, I'd like to highlight and recognize a citizen of distinction, and this week's candidate is none other than Jerry Thornton, who's the afternoon drive time host on WEEI. Now, Jerry appears daily as a third man in on the Dale and Holly Show, and he's the author of a thornography blog on WEEI.com. In addition, Jerry's a stand-up comic who won the Boston Comedy Riot competition, has worked at colleges and clubs around New England. He's appeared on HBO's Emmy Award-winning Curse of the Bambino and the Comcast Sports New England shows regularly. Prior to coming to EEI, Jerry was a writer for BarstoolSports.com, but Jerry was born and raised in South Weymouth and is a graduate of Weymouth Public Schools. So once again, the sky's the limit if you grow up around Weymouth, and a lot of folks have gone on to distinguished careers in a variety of industries.
I believe he will be making an appearance at Wayfest.
Jerry will be one of the personality appearances at Wayfest. It's agreed to come down, free of charge, and he'll be there to meet and greet, sign autographs for all the attendees, among several others, and surprise guests as we assemble our block party for the ages. Under the auspices of the mayor's office. So thanks for getting that together, Bob.
Well, you've done great work on that, Jim. You've been the glue and the driving force on that.
Thank you.
We had a meeting here at Town Hall, organizational meeting on that. Looks like everything's fallen into place. The weather cooperates. We're going to have one heck of a day.
Yeah, no kidding. And of course, as always with any major event like this, there's a cast of thousands to thank, and we're extremely grateful. Just like a cleanup day or the Spectra fight, the citizens joined together to create a dynamic that can become unstoppable, and I think we're lucky that we live in this wonderful community. So once again, we say thanks for tuning in. Mayor, any final words?
Stay tuned for
Mr. Ed. A horse is a horse, a course, a course. See you next time.
If you have a question, please email the mayor at askmayorbob@gmail.com. That's askmayorbob@gmail.com. Maybe your question will be answered on the next episode of Ask the Mayor.